you and your wife would go on to launch the Say No for Nick Foundation. Yeah. Tell us about that and tell us about that work.
So it really started before our son's passing. It started with my son coming to the door at 6:30 in the morning and saying that he had done cocaine and he couldn't stop and he needed help. And we got in the car and we went to the Queensway Carleton. We went to the Royal Ottawa. We went to the Children's Hospital. We went to Rita Wood. We went to Dave Smith. None of them could help. And there's a long story about it. And then then we had the result we had. And so we went to, there was a child, a young girl that had died in Canada, and Sean O'Leary was at his house and he was quite shook up and he realized that we had the same problem. So he held a community forum out in Canada. And my wife and I at that time, like, we had a hard time. We're still processing. And this is probably about 2 years after, and just went to the meeting and somebody was talking about how much help there is and how easy it is to get help. And I just stood up as a dad and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, I think about a single mom. Right. Like, I'm a dad. I've got my own business. I've got a great wife at home. I can spend the day doing this,
right?
But what about a single mom? What happens to that? So I look at it from that perspective. And anyways, that really got us fired up in terms of getting re-engaged, and worked a lot with a lot of different government agencies. Ended up chairing a drug testing challenge. It was the first time Health Canada has ever awarded $1 million on a challenge.
Wow.
And that was for testing for fentanyl in drugs. And so that was a very rewarding process.
Yeah.
And I remember giving the money and I cried. Like, that was like, it just, I don't know. And it brought up a lot of emotion. We worked with a lot of parents because it's just, so many people struggle with this then, today, and I might even be worse today. Like, it's really tough.
Yeah.
We had a couple of nice events in Ottawa. I remember the last one we did was a year before COVID, and I stood up to do a speech and I was done. Like, it was the emotion that comes out when you have to, even now, right? Like, I probably sleep really well.
Right.
And I wish now I'm at the point where I wish I could do more. And I had to pull right back because you have to take care of yourself, or you can't take care of anybody. So we pulled right back, and I'm still in that pulled back. I'm going to get back at it. Something will trigger it. And right now I don't have the strength.
Oh, but isn't that beautiful though? One, that you're here today sharing your story. So on behalf of our listeners, thank you for your vulnerability. I can feel it I can see it in your eyes. I can feel it in the way that you're sharing that this is still so hard for you, but to have the wisdom to know when to step out and lead and advocate and fight for a greater cause, and what a cause, and to know when to step back and I need to take care of me right now. Yeah. I think there's people listening to this episode right now. You might be in that place where perhaps it's time for you to take a step back. The growth journey, we often are all about the step forward. I think understanding when it's time to step out of that limelight and take care of you is something that's underappreciated. And I think you've shared that beautifully today.